The British Fourth Army was worried with the German salient that had occurred after a British frontline trench was captured. The small salient was located east of the Ploegsteert wood. The British called it the German Birdcage. Right behind the German front line, on top of the birdcage, were a handful of houses, which the Germans used to their advantage. The Germans converted them to observation posts, as they could see the British front line from the first floors. They also housed snipers, which were a pain in the neck for the British in the woods. Just south of the German salient was a British one. The British came up with a plan to capture the birdcage and link both salients to a new front line. On the 10th of December, the 11th Brigade was asked to consider the latter, as their trenches were flooding and the parapets were collapsing. In the days leading up to the charge, exercises were made to overcome the danger of the German barbed wire. They came up with the idea of using mats and wooden planks. Patrols were sent out to reconnoiter the area of attack. The German trenches seemed to be lightly defended, but no man's land was all torn up and would be difficult to cross. The green light was given on the 18th of December. The 4th Division had to attack the birdcage. The task was given to the 11th Brigade of Brigadier General Elmer Hunter Weston. The attack was postponed to the 19th of December to properly inform the men who would perform the attack. The attack would be performed by the 1st Rifle Brigade and the 1st Somerset Light Infantry. Supporting fire would be given by the 1st Hampshire Regiment and the 1st East Lancashire Regiment. 19 December 1914. The British started their preliminary bombardment in the morning, but soon reports came in that the shells were falling short. 3 guns were moved up to bombard the birdcage and to provide support to the attacking I Company of the 1st Rifle Brigade. At 2:30 in the afternoon, the whistles blew. On the right, I Company, 1st Rifle Brigade, sent 2 platoons forward, together with a party of 10 men under Captain the Honourable Richard Morgan Grenville. Because the British bombardment had been lifted, the Germans manned their positions at the birdcage. They were ready to fire upon everything they could see. Captain Morgan Grenville was nearly immediately killed from a shot coming from the so-called third house. In the meantime, both leading platoons rushed forward and they quickly managed to secure the first 2 houses. Captain the Honourable Francis Pretty kept moving forward until he too was killed. Machine gun team was able to move up and set up its gun in the second house. On the right of the battalion's assault, one could progress no further than a fence which was situated just after second house. They were pinned down in the deep mud, with German bullets whizzing past their heads. On the left of the battalion's assault, a platoon led by the 19-year-old 2nd Lieutenant Archibald Daniel rushed forward, but was quickly stopped as well thanks to British rounds falling short, deep mud and heavy German opposition. The 19-year-old 2nd Lieutenant tried to work his way more to the left, trying to link up with the Somersets, but his section was quickly dealt with. Daniel didn't survive his heroic charge. A new platoon was ordered to move up together with D Company of the 1st Hampshires on the right, but they too could not move up due to British shells falling short. On the left of the attack with the Somersets, things were looking just like the Rifle Brigade's flank. Their B Company charged forward in the deep mud, but they too were quickly halted by the German fire. In support was their C Company. 2nd Lieutenant Henson was a part of B Company's first wave. He quickly outstripped the men under his command, but his 20 meters lead came to an abrupt halt when he was shot in the chest. 34-year-old Captain Orr managed to get past the wire entanglement and managed to get himself into a house, but nothing was heard from him after that. Another captain, 39-year-old Charles Maud, was also killed in the assault. After B Company charged forward, men of C Company were tasked to go over the top. 23-year-old Lieutenant George Roworth Barr was shot leading his platoon. Captain Frank Seymour Bradshaw, commanding H Company in reserve, saw his good friend being shot, and he immediately rushed forward, but he too was killed, not long after he left the parapet. C Company managed to reach the Le Gire to Saint-Yves road by 4 in the afternoon, an hour and a half after the initial charge, but the trenches they had captured near the road were water-filled. The Somersets lost 5 officers killed and 1 officer captured during their attack. A total of 47 men of the Somersets were killed during the charge. 50 men were wounded. 34 officers and men were killed in the ranks of the Rifle Brigade. When the night fell, the exhausted attackers were back in the waterlogged trenches where they had jumped off for their attack earlier in the day. They had to give up the few trenches they had captured as they were untenable. Many of their dead were left behind in no man's land or the German lines. On Christmas Day, a special truce occurred for the Somersets. The Germans came out of their trenches and gave the bodies back of the men who were left behind on the battlefield the week before. Most of the casualties are now laid to rest in the Ploegsteert Wood Military Cemetery. The casualties of the Rifle Brigade are laid to rest in the Rifle House Cemetery. One of them is 15-year-old Private Barnett, one of the youngest casualties of the First World War. This was the Ace Destroyer. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe and leave a comment down below. Cheers!